The program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
It is a sunny afternoon and we're watching some warthog and impala enjoying the shade at the moment. Really beautiful, and this is Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Safari Live. My name is BYRON, and on camera with me this afternoon is Seb. Now, you may have seen Taylor already on the other vehicle, and then James will be in the tent this afternoon. Of course, we have the ladies in the final control. Now, we are starting with a school drive this afternoon, so a big warm welcome to Sutherland Elementary and McIntyre Elementary. Lovely to have all of you with us. Now, don't forget, everyone, we are live, so ask your teachers to send us your questions at #SafariLive. That's how you can get hold of us. Questions, comments, whatever you'd like to know about while we are out on our safari this afternoon. And what a lovely start. We've got an impala standing in the shade just behind me, as well as some warthogs. You may have seen them just moving in the background. Let's see if we can have another better look at them. There they are. They're still there, enjoying the shade in the long grass at the moment. Makes it a bit difficult to see them, but that impala is still there, young male impala. And just enjoying the shade. It is very warm this afternoon. And I hope all of you are having a great morning in school so far. Now, these warthogs are just enjoying the lovely green grass at the moment, feeding on a lot of vegetation there. But there's somebody else who would like to say hello to you, and that is my friend James, who's in the tent at the moment.
Oh, I'm not in the tent, everybody, but where am I? Can you see me? Can you see me at all? You will notice also, of course, that Connor is flying around us. Connor, can you see where I am? I can see you flying around, of course. Now, are you able to see me, Connor? Yes, as you can see, I'm in a tree. Ha, 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 ha. Good afternoon. It's lovely to have you here with us. We are sort of setting up and gearing up for the television shows which are to come next week, Saturday and Sunday. My name is James Hendry. Good. And #Safari Live is how you get hold of us for the course of the afternoon. I won't do that for TV, I promise, because that just looks ridiculous, doesn't it? I'll also attempt not to fall out of this tree. I'm not sure we'll start the TV shows in here, but we're all getting rather excited about the whole process. Now, I must just tell you that, you know how people will say that a loss can sometimes bring a gain, perhaps that's the saying. David, unfortunately, has forsaken me. He's decided that he no longer wishes to be in the tent with me, and I was very sad about that to start with. And then my friend Fergus took up the mantle, and he will be filming me from the tent, so the angle will be slightly lower than it is with David, because Fergus is roughly of my stature, and so, well, basically you have two small hobbits in the tent, and that's going to be the TV team in the tent for next week. Good. So during the course of the afternoon, we will do our standard issue finding things around here. I'm rearranging things in the tent. If you have any suggestions at all for how you would like to rearrange the tent, where you think I should put bits and pieces in there, don't suggest new artifacts and bits and pieces. That's a wrong word, I know, Judy H. I'm sorry, I won't use it again. New bits and pieces that you'd like to put in the tent, well, don't suggest those, but if the current ones, you can happily tell us how to rearrange. Let us now head across to Taylor McCurdy. She has found herself an astonishing Impala.
everybody, and of course a big welcome to the schools that are joining us. But you're quite right, James, we do have a herd of Impala. Now, my name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Craig. And well, we're hoping to find lots of wonderful animals, but this is the first one that we've managed to find, and it's honestly one of the easier animals to find out here in the bush. Should we take a closer look at all of these Impala? They don't seem to be too happy with us today. Look at them. I was just saying all these wonderful things about them, and now they've decided to move away. Very rude, but also out here you cannot tell the animals what to do because they are wild. So they're not tame. We don't feed them. We don't touch them. We don't do anything. They look after themselves. So how cool is that? That you're on this live safari with us. Now, at the moment, in this herd, so that's what we call a group of Impala, or most of the antelope you can refer to as a herd, but you can even make some up. You can really get creative with some collective nouns. You could have a bound of Impala. What else do you think, Craig, would suit an Impala? What do you think, young lady, looking at us? What do you think, Craig? Craig is not sure. We'll think of some good ones, but maybe you can think of some. Let me go forward. Let's see if we can get a better view of them. But there's lots of babies. There are small ones, there are big ones, and there are not too many big males, any big boys in this herd, because at the moment they're all fighting with each other to see who's the biggest and who's the strongest out of all the boys. So they're chasing the young ones away, and then they will have all the ladies to themselves. I think we should get a nice little gap through these bushes, but it is so thick here. Hello guys, look how cool this is. Now, hello Byron, you're wondering how many miles we travel while we're out on safari. Well, Byron, it depends. We can do, if you're driving lots, you can do about between maybe 20 and 25 miles a game drive. Sometimes, if you do all day safaris, you can even do up to about between 30 and 40 miles, I would say. So quite some time. But this Impala that we're looking at the moment, he's very impressive, isn't he? With that big set of horns on the top of his head. Now, he is the big dominant male in this herd. So he will be, like I said earlier, he'll be chasing away and competing with other big males for this group of females. So it's the girls that stick together. And when the boys get a little bit older, they have to get kicked out. And they go and live somewhere else. Maybe they find other boys who have also been kicked out of their herds. And then they will grow up until they are big and strong and can defend a territory for themselves. But it's so hard to tell the difference at the moment between the big ones and the small ones, because the animals out here, they have to grow so quickly. Because imagine if you stay small for too long, that's not very good. It can be very, very dangerous out here. And I said to you that they're not tame, so they've got to look for their own food. It also means that they've got to watch their own backs. They've got to be able to listen very carefully. Spot any predators that are coming to maybe try and stalk them and eat them. So things like leopards, lions, hyena, cheetahs, you name it, they will try and go after the Impala. And that's also why it is so important to live in a big family group like this, because the more eyes, the more ears, and the more noses you have, the better chance you have of actually spotting a predator. On a day like today, it would be a little bit difficult because there isn't very much wind. And when I say difficult, I mean difficult for a leopard or a lion, for the predators. The Impala will have a good time today. They'll be able to use their ears very well. Their sense of smell won't be affected too much. And I suppose that's also why they're so relaxed around us. Sometimes they can actually run away from you, especially on the windy days. Because wind can be quite loud, if you think about it. If you've ever sat out when it's very windy outside, sometimes you can't even hear the rustling of the leaves. And that's what happens to these animals, and it can make them a bit jumpy, because their eyesight is not really their main sense. They're relying on their sense of smell and their hearing. Now, Taylor, you're wondering, how do you know the difference between the boys and the girls? Well, we're quite lucky out here with these antelope. It's very easy. So the boys have got horns. So these three that have just walked past us, those ones you saw very quickly, those were girls. I think they've just gone out of frame. So those ones over there, you see how they haven't got any horns on their heads? Look there, nothing. So those are girls, and then the boys have the horns. But it's not like that with all the animals. For example, a wildebeest or gnu, you'll notice that both the boys and the girls have got horns. Then it becomes a little bit more tricky, But luckily for us, this is a good animal to start off with trying to identify between the boy and the girl. Now, there won't be too many boys. Remember, I said it's the only one big male. You might find some small ones, some youngsters that were born at the beginning of the year or the end of last year, sorry. And they will have tiny little horns sticking out of the tops of their heads. But they won't be too worried. They won't bother the big male too much because they are too young to give him any trouble. But as you can see, they're eating all the time and constantly moving. They have to keep going in order to keep finding lovely new food. Now, the McIntyre School, all of you are wondering how long will an Impala fight last? Well, it depends. So what will often happen, now we're seeing it now, it's actually really funny to watch, and maybe BYRON will be able to show you because he's out in the open plains. So sometimes they don't even get to the point where they fight. You might have two big males, say not of equal size, so one much bigger than the other, and this young upstart coming through thinking that he's big and strong enough and he can take on the resident male. And what happens is that they can move very quickly. The Impala rams, so the boys, will make a gurgling noise. It's a funny sound. It almost sounds like a lion growling, if you're not sure what that sounds like. And he will go running towards the competitor and try and chase him out. However, if there are two Impala rams and they've got the same size horns, the same size body, then that's when a battle will break out. And it depends. Sometimes it can last for 1 minute, sometimes it could last for half an hour. It just depends. But how cool is that? I think that these are one of my favorite antelopes out here in the bush. But we're going to send you across now to BYRON, who very luckily found one of the coolest reptiles in the bush.
I have indeed. Look at this, everyone. A very big water monitor. Wow, this is a big one. This is a very, very big one. And I'm actually going to move out the way a little bit because he's walking up the road. And I'm just going to move a little bit out the road because I think he wants to head towards some water. So let's see, if I move a little bit further back, he might keep coming up the road. There we go. He's coming. Now, this is a huge monitor lizard. I'm going to give him some more space. Let's sit quietly and watch him. There we go. Still walking. This is so much fun and so exciting. Now, these monitor lizards actually cover quite a big distance between water holes, but I've never seen one walking during the day like this at this time of the day, right through the clearings. But look how big he is. Wow. This is probably one of the biggest water monitors I've ever seen. This is so cool. There he goes. This is, I must be honest everyone, and this is quite rare to see a big one like this walking on the road. There he goes. Isn't that incredible? See how its tongue is darting in and out? That's how the monitor lizard, it uses it basically as a sense of smell. Well, it picks up scent in the air, so any smell that it would be interested in working out what it is, that's what it picks up. Ah, this is really special. We don't often see big monitor lizards like this walking around. This one's huge, very big. Oh, I think it's going to be moving off soon. Most likely going to try and head towards some water. Well, that was a nice surprise. Wasn't that great? I'm not going to disturb him too much. I was happy to walk along the road. Well, that was really awesome. I'm so glad we got to see him. Wow. So we have two species of monitor lizards, a big rock monitor and then a water monitor. They look quite similar, but the water monitor tends to get a little bit longer, and obviously because of the name, it lives in the water. That's what it prefers. And the rock monitor lives in thicker areas with big trees and also rocky areas. That's what the area or the habitat that they like to live in. So it was nice to see this one. So So, Jordan, they're not too fast, the monitor lizards. If you chase them, they probably run quite quickly along the ground, but they're not incredibly fast, I wouldn't say. I think we would run faster than a monitor lizard, to be honest, but they can move quite quickly, and they use that big tail of theirs as a whip. If they feel threatened, they will use their tail and whip it from side to side and smack whatever predator is trying to go for it. They've also got a very powerful bite, so you don't want to get bitten by any of them, because it can probably cause quite a bit of damage or cut you very badly. They've got sharp teeth, and they'll be able to cause a bit of damage. That was really nice. Caleb, I've never seen monitor lizards eating one another. Maybe, but I don't think so. They mainly feed on eggs. If they find eggs, they'll raid bird nests and so on. And then maybe little chicks, if they can find chicks, bird chicks. So that's generally what monitor lizards. Maybe snakes. Some of them have been known to feed on snakes if they catch them. So they can feed on quite a lot of different things, which is nice. Maybe some rodents. But that was really special. Right. Now my friend James is still in the tent, and he's got some toys he'd like to show you.
Got the best toys in the world. I've got the kind of toys that you would love to play with. And, well, maybe one day you will. Apart from all the things that I've got in amongst me over here, what I've got is a very special thing called Ronald the Rover. Now, let's go and look at Ronald. Well, let me tell you quickly what Ronald is. Ronald is a robot, basically. Sometimes we have a camera view of him, but I don't think we do today, do we? No, we don't have a view of him just yet. He's a little robot about that big. He looks like a little tank. You know what a tank is? It looks like a small tank, and he's got a camera on the front of him, and this is what he can see. And there he is. And he can drive along. And what he's going to try and do is go and wait at the water hole to see if that monitor lizard doesn't come down and say hello to him. He's always looking for friends, is Ronald. You can see he's very lonely. He doesn't have many friends at all. And there you can see his shadow. Look how clever he is, you see. I thought he might fall down there, but he didn't fall at all. He's very clever. Here's my friend Ronald. And so he's going to make his way slowly down towards the dam. And by the dam, I will show you what that means now. We'll just have a quick look there. Kirsten, can we have a look at the dam, please? There is the dam, and Ronald is making his way down towards the dam. And with any luck, we will see him in that picture. Well, if not right now, certainly the next time you come across to see him. And there's somebody controlling that camera as well, so there's a whole lot of amazing toys we have going here. And there's Ronald making his way down to the water. He'll get there eventually, and hopefully that lizard will come and say hello to him, because he doesn't have any friends at the moment. And there's the dam camera view you can see. I still can't see Ronald yet. I think he's sort of just underneath that picture. Anyway, we will hopefully get a view of him too. Now, what he's doing, you can see that there is a huge amount of grass. You see that Ronald's travelling through the grass there, but he's like a little tank, as I said, so he can just keep going. And he is operated. Oh, let's have a look here quickly. He's found a termite mound. Ronald's found a termite mound. Now, in a termite mound, everybody, live lots of termites. And termites, of course, as you well know, eat wood. And they're very, very nasty to have anywhere near your house. But you know, in the bush, well, it's quite special to have them in the bush, because they eat more than all the elephants and impala and rhino and buffalo and all the antelope species that we get here. They eat more than that. There are so many millions of them that they eat more than all the above ground animals. Oh, Thomas, you ask a very good question. You say, has any animal ever tried to eat Ronald the Rover? No, Thomas, no one's tried to eat him, but he has had a problem with an elephant once or twice. He was kicked into the water by an elephant, a very cross young elephant bull, and Ronald was just minding his own business, sort of looking at the terrapins in the waterhole, and an elephant came past and kicked him into the water, and we had to take him apart, blow dry him, buy a whole lot of new pieces for him, and now you can see he's okay. And I wonder, can we see him yet from the dam cam? No, we can't. He's staring up at the dam cam, but we can't see it yet. Now, Caleb, you want to know how much Ronald costed. How much did Ronald cost? Caleb, I don't know, actually. I think probably in the region of about $55. That's rubbish. He probably cost at least, sort of, put all his bits and pieces, probably about $500. So quite a lot of money. In fact, even more than that. In fact, much more than that. Probably about $1,000. Quite a lot, isn't it? Anyway, he's very clever. You can see he's a very, very brilliant creature. Right. I think we'll drive him now back towards the water. There we go. You can see him turned. Oh, he's going the wrong way now. There we go. Now he's going back towards the water. Now look, he's driving through all this grass. And this grass is particularly important because we're going into the dry season. Our dry season, everybody, is when you guys have your wet season. Oh. I just wanted to show you those flowers. Did you see those flowers? Those flowers at the top there are the last flowers we're going to have this season. We're going into winter. And those flowers are called Waltheria, and they're the very last flowers that we're going to have this season, and then we're going to go into winter. Look how Ronald, whoa, he's like a tank. Look at him go. We don't want to run over all the flowers though, do we? Now he's going to get lost. Now, what I want you to imagine, everybody, is that you are a tortoise. Do you know what a tortoise is? Sometimes in the US they're called turtles, but a tortoise, or a small mongoose, or a small antelope, or even that water monitor walking through the grass here, this is all they could see. Now, if you were a water monitor and you were walking through the grass and this is all you could see, don't you think it would be dangerous? Well, it would be dangerous, but that's why the water monitor was walking on the road. That's why it doesn't walk through this grass, it walks on the road. Now, the McIntyre School, you're wondering what a terrapin is. McIntyre School, a terrapin, whoa dear. A terrapin is like a turtle, but it doesn't live in the sea, it lives in fresh water. Now, I'm going to see if we can't get down towards this water. Oh, we're at the water. Look, we're at the water already. I can't believe it. Look at that. Now, Ronald is not waterproof. Now, if we just let him sit there for a little while, a terrapin might pop up. There is a terrapin. Is that a terrapin? Look to the left-hand side of your screen, everybody. Let me just turn him slightly. No, I don't think there's a terrapin there. I think it might be a stick. Oh, now, Ethan, you want to know what kind of cool animals Ronald's seen. Ronald has seen amazing animals. He's seen baboons. He's seen lions. Lions came to see him one day. What else has he seen? He's seen plenty of buffalo and hippo and kudu and nyala and elephants, as I told you. So he's seen all kinds of animals and lots of birds. And sometimes mongoose come and say hello to him. So he's got lots and lots of friends sometimes. But today, he's got no friends. He's all on his own. Hopefully that monitor lizard will come down and say hello to him sometime soon, and then we can see what the monitor lizard thinks of him. Maybe even some elephants will come down towards this area and we'll say hello to them too. In the meantime, BYRON is out searching in the bush to see what delights this wilderness has to offer.
I am indeed, James, and while you're busy with the rover, we in a bigger rover, busy driving around looking for animals. Now, because it's so warm this afternoon, I'm hoping that we find some animals going down to drink at the water. Haven't found anything yet, But it's still early. We'll see what we can find. But that was a really great sighting. Now, that monitor lizard, I can see, has walked all along this road. So he's walked very, very far. I can just see his tracks through the sand, a little bit of his track. You can actually see it there quite clearly.
Yes.
Can you see that there, Seb? Look at this, everyone. You know, we can see his tracks very clearly, and you can see the way he was walking and dragging his tail a bit. There we go. See that line in the sand? That was made by his tail. So Jada, you asked, what temperature does the water monitor need? Well, Jada, as all reptiles, they regulate their temperature by the sun. So basically, they lie in the sun to keep themselves warm, and that gives them energy. They can't regulate their body temperature like we do. They are then reliant on the sun. So what they do is, and unlike snakes, the monitor lizards don't really hibernate. The snakes in this area do hibernate in winter. We will still see the monitor lizards during the winter months, but I don't know, Jada, if I can tell you an exact temperature that they need. They do adapt to the winter conditions as well as the summer conditions. When it's very, very hot, they'll lie in the shade or they'll lie in the water, and when it's very, very cold, they will come out of the water and lie in the sun to warm up. Now, today is warm, but it's not extremely hot, and I think that's why this monitor lizard decided to walk from one waterhole all the way to the other. And that one, I think, was a big male, so possibly looking for some females, I'm not sure, or just looking for a new home. They can do that from time to time if there's no food around the waterhole that he was at. That was a really nice surprise. He walked very far today. It's amazing. I've never seen one walking that far away from water before. We know they do, but often they'll do it at night or early in the mornings when it's much cooler. Not really during the day. Mr. Z, you said that was a cool lizard. It was indeed. It was a very, very cool lizard. And what's wonderful about them is the monitor lizards are the largest lizards in Africa. So that was probably one of the biggest, and I think the biggest water monitor I've ever seen. He was very big, very long, very thick, strong lizards, very strong, powerful lizards. Now, our friend Taylor has gone all the way to Cheetah Plains. Let's go and have a look what she's looking for over there.
We've managed to get here. It was quite a drive. Now what I'm really hoping to see is some elephants, and because it is such a nice hot day, I think that we're going to be in luck. So basically what Craig and I are going to do is we're going to drive from watering hole to watering hole to see what we can find. But this is the thing, when you're on safari, you've got to keep looking around you, up in the trees, down on the ground, looking on the floor for footprints to see if you can find anything. So it's not all the time that the animals just jump out in front of you. Now, there's actually a specific tree that I'm looking for. I'm searching hard for it. It is a guarri tree, but there doesn't seem to be any growing around here, so we'll have to find another tree to show you. Let me show you this tree over here. This is quite a cool one. This is a very small one, though. I'm going to show you about it. Let me go back so you can see how big it is. Look at this beautiful tree here. I'm going to jump out very quickly just to show you. This is an apple leaf tree. Now when I say apple leaf, you're probably thinking, but there's no apples that grow on this tree. And the reason why it is called an apple leaf, I'm going to bring you a couple of leaves. It's because when you crunch the leaf, it actually sounds like somebody taking a bite of a lovely green, juicy, crisp apple. Listen. How cool is that? Isn't it amazing? But another name for that beautiful big tree is a rain tree. Now, the reason why it's called a rain tree is because there is a little insect. There's many different names for it, but what they like to do, you can call them frog hoppers, and they, as I plug my cable in case you've got any questions, let me do that before I tell you. So basically what these little insects will do is they will sit on the tree and they will stick their proboscis into the cambium layer. So the cambium layer is the part of the bark, so not that hard outer layer that you can see, it's just on the inside of the tree, and that's where the nutrients, so all the sugars, all the water, any vitamins and minerals that need to go from the roots all the way to the tops of the leaves, that's where those things transfer in, and that's what those little insects want to eat. They love the phloem, all of the sugars and that type of thing. So on a hot summer's day, sometimes you'll drive underneath these trees and you'll look and you'll go, it's raining. What is on my head? How crazy is that? So it's all the excess sugars that they don't need that's coming out and landing on top of your head. But I haven't experienced that here just yet. But we're going to keep searching, of course, for elephants. James has got a bird's eye view.
You won't believe what we're going to show you now. Of course, when you came to us, I was sitting in a tree and I was being filmed from above. There we have a beautiful picture filmed by a very special fellow called the Drone Commander. Now, the Drone Commander is a very scary fellow, and he is flying his drone around this beautiful landscape. And that, everybody, is the wonderful place that we are allowed to call home. Isn't that gorgeous? That's the waterhole down at which Ronald is sitting, is it? Which waterhole is that? Yes, I think I can't tell what that is. It is Twin Dams. Well done. Thank you for that, Kirsten. Absolutely it is. So that is Twin Dams, and that's the southern boundary of where we are, and you can see lots of water there for the animals to drink, and just beyond that you can see another waterhole, and beyond that a very special group of hills to the now just sort of passing out the left-hand side of the top of your screen, and those are called granite extrusions, and there's another big one on the top right hand side, and those form a line all the way to the west to our beautiful mountain range known as the Drakensberg, which means the dragon's back. So you've got the Rocky Mountains and the Appalachians in the US, and the Drakensberg is much like those two mountain ranges. It forms a sort of, what shall we say, a barrier between the lowlands and the highlands of this beautiful landscape. And unfortunately, the Drone Commander's picture froze there. There was some Impala, and I wonder if I can see that it still looks a little bit like a 1985 arcade game. No, we can't go back. Okay, so that was a wonderful picture of the drone. Then I've got another special toy in here. Look at this. This thing is called a microscope, and you know what? A lot of kids who watch this show regularly have asked, where can you get one? Where can they get one? And they're not very expensive, and you can get some quite nice ones like this, and you can get some much cheaper ones. So you just look online for them. It's called a digital microscope, and you can study nature down to very, very fine detail. Have a look at that. Any idea what that is, everybody? Let me change the focus slightly. Look at that. You may have seen what I put under here. But this is an amazing look at the scales. That's what we call those individual little pieces. The scales on a moth. Isn't that nice? So that's what a moth looks like under the microscope. Now, let's come back to me. And then what I will do is show you its eyes. Its eyes are very special. Let's just lift this up slightly. Oh, this is going to look very amazing. Let's see. Let's see if I can get this right. Look. There is eyes and his tongue. It's not a tongue really, it's called a proboscis. And a proboscis is the thing that it sticks into the plants that it wants to drink the nectar out of. That's it there that I've focused in on now. And that's what it sticks into the plants, and in those plants there are little nectaries, or little sort of almost bottles of juice, if you like, and that's what it uses that proboscis to suck the juice out of. Nice, eh? And let's just go back to his eyes if you want. Oh, no, we're not going to go back to his eyes. Let's go. Oh, we are going to go to his eyes. There they are. And I just wanted to quickly show you how amazing I think they are. You can see there are lots and lots of little individual pieces of the eyes there. I just think that's very special. Cool. Hang on a second. No. Alrighty, I believe that BYRON is going to show you something. I don't know what it is, but you know, with BYRON, you just never can tell.
It's a beautiful male Nyala, James. That's what we have found. Wow, we've been very lucky. We're finding a lot of different animals for you this afternoon. Now, this is the male Nyala, and it's spelt Nyala. Very strange name. And the males have these beautiful grey coats. You see those horns? Only the males have horns. The females don't have horns. But in this group at the moment, I can only see males here. And that's not unusual. Often you just get the males moving together. And you see those beautiful white stripes down the body and the long hair on the back. Seb, I'm sorry, there's another one straight ahead of us. Walking the road quickly. There are a few of them around. That other one might come out too. It was to the left. Let's see. I'm going to try and get you another good shot, or clear shot of them. And these male Nyala do a wonderful display where they almost looks like they're dancing. It looks like they dance around one another. I'm going to see if I can show you the others quickly. Hold on. Stay with us. Let's see. The others are just down. There's some down here to my right. And there's one or two up on the left over here. Let's just have a look. Wow, so it's quite steep here at the moment. We can't get down there. Now, Jada, you asked how much do the male Nyala weigh? Well, Jada, that's a good question. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're about 100 and... What are the Nyala, male Nyala? Maybe about 120 kilograms or so. Let me have a look. I'll double check for you. Yeah, about 100 kilograms for the bull, exactly. So just as I thought, about 100 kilograms. So females will be less, much less. The females are probably about 60 kilograms. Now, we use kilograms, and I know you probably don't back home, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, a kilogram, it would be roughly just over 200 pounds, a big male. Yeah, just over 200 pounds. Hold on, I'm going to see if we can find that other one again. They've just moved into the thicket right below us. It's very steep over here. Oh, there we go. There's a lovely view of that one coming through there. Oh, look at him. Isn't he beautiful? So that's just over 200 pounds. That's a very big antelope. Oh, that's really beautiful. I'm so glad we got to see them. They're moving down into the thicket. Let's head back to James in the tent, who's got a smaller lizard he would like to show you.
Yeah, that's cool. Hello everybody, sorry, we're just trying to get this beautiful lizard into view. Can you see him? Isn't he special? Now, I don't know if you can see, but just behind his front leg, his heart is beating. You see that? And what I really like about this picture, everybody, is that it shows us that nature is everywhere. And when you go home today, I don't know where you live, and if you live in cities or in the suburbs, but you will find that there are pieces of nature everywhere, and it's almost impossible for us as human beings to keep nature out. So we built this tent, we put it here, and spiders and scorpions and wasps and beautiful lizards like this have come to live here, because nature is always looking for a place to live, for a place to expand, and I just think that that is a very beautiful lizard. And I think he's a kind of a lizard called a skink. But I'm finding it a little bit difficult to tell what kind of a skink he is. Isn't he cool? Now, Peyton, you want to know how big the lizard is. Well, what I'm going to do is put my finger behind where he's sitting so he can't see my finger, because he'll get a fright if he sees it. He's about the size of my finger. Isn't that nice? He's about the size of my finger, which is not very big. He's a lovely fellow, and he's got friends. We can hear his friends running up and down on the roof. And I'm just trying to identify what kind he is. Caleb, you want to know if I've ever encountered a mad animal? I'm assuming you mean mad as in angry, as opposed to completely insane. Yes, sometimes animals get angry, but the most important thing to remember is that animals out here only get mad, they only get angry if they feel afraid. And one of the animals that we don't want to make afraid is the animal that you're going to see now. Look at that. It's a beautiful elephant. An enormous elephant bull that the drone commander has found. And he's staying a long way away from it, not because he thinks that there's any danger, but, of course, if the elephant becomes angry at the noise of the drone, then it's not nice for the elephant. And then the next time it sees a vehicle or a person on foot, then it will be upset. And so, in order to stop animals becoming angry or mad, we stay away from them, and we're very careful that we don't make them feel uncomfortable, because that is what makes an animal mad or angry. Very seldom is an animal just dangerous or just cross for no reason. Almost always it's because they feel afraid. And you'll find that in your own lives. Here's a little life lesson for you. If you find people that are angry, other than your parents, of course, because sometimes you're very naughty, I know you are, I used to be very naughty too, and that's different. But when you have friends who are sometimes mad or angry, remember that sometimes it's because they are scared, they're afraid of something. And that's exactly why animals get angry. Now, this is a big bull elephant. He's a male, and he's got big tusks, and with those tusks he will protect himself, and also he will dig in the trees that he's walking past for the bark. And you can see him pushing through the bush there. Isn't that a lovely picture? He's just looking for nice things to eat. Let's see if he pushes that bush over there. And Cheyenne, while we watch to see if this chap pushes that tree over, you want to know if just the females have got, or if the females have got tusks, or if it's just the males. Cheyenne, it is both male and female elephants, but the females normally have thinner, straighter tusks. The water! Quickly! Can we go to Ronald? Ronald, there's the water monitor. Can you see him there, everybody? Oh, I'm sorry we didn't spot him. That was spotted by Fergus, who's the cameraman. He spotted. Let's just see if we can't get a bit closer. There's quite a lot of mud here. Oh, it's such exciting stuff going on here. He's stuck now. Let's go back across here. Come on, Ronald. I know there's a lot of mud. Oh, get going. There's the monitor. There. There he is. Look. The monitor is now very, very suspicious. Suspicious means he thinks, what is this thing? What is this small tank that is following me through the mud? And you know why Ronald can't get any closer? It's because an elephant, same as the one you've just seen, put his footprint there. That's how big that footprint is. Look, he's coming closer. Let's see what he does. He's sticking his tongue out to see if he can taste what Ronald is, or why he's there, or what he wants. Jaden, you want to know what water monitors eat? Well, as Byron told you earlier on, Jaden, water monitors will eat all sorts of things. They will eat basically any piece of meat that they can catch. So they'll eat, sometimes they'll eat eggs, they'll eat snakes, they'll eat other lizards, they'll eat small birds if they can catch them, they'll eat fish, they'll eat, what else? Insects. When they're very little, they'll eat insects. Let's just go back a bit and see if we can't see him again. There, you can see him moving. There we go. Now, what we want to do with Ronald, everybody, is very important. Just like I was saying with the drone, which Connor was being very careful about, we don't want to make the animals afraid. There's no danger from that lizard for Ronald. There's no possibility of the lizard hurting Ronald. But what we don't want is for that lizard to be afraid, even though he's a lizard. And many people, of course, when we think of lizards, we don't think of animals that have feelings. But you know, all animals have feelings, to some or to a greater or lesser extent. So we'll just try and put Ronald behind some bushes so that he's not quite so scary to this lizard. Ooh, no, he's stuck there. Let's try another way around. We've just got to be a bit careful here because Ronald is not waterproof. There. Ooh. Emily, you want to know how long they can stay underwater? I think you'll find a reptile like this is probably able to stay underwater for about 5 minutes. So they can stay underwater quite a long time. We're just going to have to go a little bit closer to the water. There, that's about as close as we're going to get without getting young Ronald wet. And if I get Ronald wet, Connor, who's flying the drone, he also has to look after Ronald. He'll get very cross with me. Anyway, that's the best picture that Ronald's going to get of his very new friend, Melvin, the Monitor. Isn't that a good name? I think it's a good name. Do we still have the elephant, or has the elephant gone away now? No, I said, do we still have the elephant? Is the elephant still around? No elephant, okay. Anyway, that's Ronald. There you can see now the Monitor, Melvin, is moving off and he's hunting for nice things to eat. And things that you and I wouldn't find very nice, of course. But there it is. I think that is a very special sighting. So we've seen 2 nice lizards. We saw the skink hiding there in the tent, and then we had this beautiful Monitor lizard over there. Isn't that wonderful? Good. And of course we had the elephant. All right, everybody, I hope you have a wonderful day at school today. Just remember, of course, that school days won't last forever, and one day you too can come out here when you finish school, and, well, you might even be able to live in the wilderness either where you are or in some other wonderful part of planet Earth. I hope you have a good day, and we'll see you next time.
Hello everybody, and of course welcome back. I look forward to hearing some of your questions. Remember, hashtag Safari Live if you do have any questions for us on this live safari. But myself and Craig are out here on the big wide open plains of Cheetah Plains, and we've got 2 animals. The only 2 we've seen so far, which is of course Gnorman the Gnu and William the Warthog. I don't know if his name is really William, but we just gave him that nickname, and they are quite happily grazing, enjoying the sun, because it is such a scorching hot day. And there's actually a dam on Nyala too, not too far from them. So I wonder if William the Warthog is not going to go for a little mud wallow a little bit later. And I'm quite sad because everything is so quiet out here. There's not a track of an elephant just yet. I know you saw one from the drone with James and Connor. And other than that, out here, I don't know what else there could be. It's also very hot, so if there are any cheetah or anything along those lines, they would be resting under a shrub, unlike these 2 animals, which need to make the most of the light so that they can continue grazing in safety, although the wildebeest will graze at night. However, the warthog, as soon as the sun goes down, as most of you know, it'll return to its burrow. Oh, and I must tell you, seeing as though we've got a warthog on screen at the moment, I went to Gwen's Den earlier this morning on the sunrise safari, and I forgot to tell you that I did check it, but there was nobody home. But I think the warthog is still living there because there's a very well-worn pathway. I don't think it's from the hyenas, but I definitely think it's from our friend the warthog, which is quite nice to know that he is still happy and living around there. So not even a flock of quailias for us to watch this afternoon. Maybe they're waiting for sunset. Let's go see what else we can find. Now, Amanda, as you can see, we've got all this beautiful grass in front of us. Actually, a 360 view of just grass at the moment. You're wondering when will the grass start to die? Soon. It's already, and let's just stop over here and I'll grab some of it quickly. Where's the nice long bit? Actually, here is fine. Let me jump out. Oh, now I've got to try and undo everything. Okay. Straight away. Let me get you plugged in so that I can hear questions, because I'm sure there's lots of questions. This grass, as you can see, is already turning a yellowish golden color. It's actually quite beautiful. Very nice to the eye. It's my favorite time of the year when you start to see grasses turning the yellow color. It makes for the most beautiful picture. So already the sun is becoming quite harsh and burning all of the grass. That's why it's dying. And now this is where the animals need to pick up the pace. They need to start eating as much grass as they can before it becomes unpalatable. You can hear it. Listen to it. Just like the apple leaf was crunching, so is the grass. And you can see just, well, sort of dust, isn't it, really? It's not that great. I don't know if I'd like to eat that grass, but it will still be all right for a couple of the animals. They'll keep grazing it down, so not only is it going to, go yellow and start to die, but the animals are going to graze it down right short. So when the big herds of buffalo come through here, that's when you'll start to see the effect, and when you will really notice the grass sort of getting much, much shorter. Again, when the big herds of elephants pop over, like we saw the other day at WildEarthTV Dam, these entire areas will become very, very short grazing lands. Then you'll get the wildebeest, the zebra all coming through as well, and it'll be beautiful. But with that little bit of rain we had, I'm not sure if Cheetah Plains actually got the same amount of rain that we had a couple of days ago. We had quite a fair amount of rain, maybe about 20-30 mils at least. I'm not sure if they got it, because it doesn't look like it's going to green up at all. Whereas if you look in Quarantine, if you look at Sandy Patch, Impala Plains, that grass was turning quite golden yellow, and then all of a sudden over the last few days it's got a second lease at life, which is great. We want the green grass to last as long as possible. We don't want to have another drought on our hands. Winter is harsh as it is, so the longer the vegetation can stay, the better, of course, for all of the herbivores. I'm just going to jump back in the car very quickly. Oh, hitting. Now, Louise, you're wondering, what is the nighttime temperature? It depends. I feel as though this evening is not going to be too cold. It really is a nice summer's day today. So at the moment, I would say let's do degrees Celsius. It's, I say after 8 o'clock, it's probably between 17 degrees Celsius and 20 degrees Celsius. So that must be about between 60 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, somewhere around there. So it's not cold. The mornings seem to be the chilliest, and not even when we start safari. It's sort of as the sun has popped over the horizon, the next hour is freezing. I always feel like the temperature drops a couple of degrees, so that's not very nice. Oh, look who we've got running down the road. No, he's not running down the road anymore. He's just flown and landed in a guarri tree, hiding out of the harsh sun, I suppose. You've got to look very carefully. But in there is a Birchall starling, and just moving about. There were a couple of them around here, probably feeding on all of the insects that are, well, in this lovely long grass. You can just see it flapping its wings. Now that's a good spot for the birds to sit. There's actually not a lot of activity at the moment with the birds out feeding, I think because it is so hot. So I reckon in the next half an hour or so we'll start to see a lot more bird life, because out here you're going to be quite lucky, and you can see some really, really nice birds. That'll be another thing we'll look for this afternoon. Maybe at Cheetah Plains Pan, a big flock of quailias. But Byron doesn't sound like he's having much luck just yet. Hopefully that luck will change. Let's go back across to him.
How very dare you, Taylor? We had lots of luck already this afternoon. That monitor lizard and Nyala, but nothing since then. I'm making my way towards Buffelshoek Dam. Just going to see if there's perhaps any animals that have come down to drink during this warm afternoon. I went into the area where Taylor had Tingana this morning, but it's a very thick drainage line, and even if we did find him, well, we would have to go and track and walk through there, but even if we did find him, we wouldn't be able to get a vehicle down there. And I do think he is just hanging around in that area. Lying probably in the shade somewhere in the cool sand in a drainage line. But what I am going to do is I'm going to stick around and head into that area later this evening or this afternoon as it starts cooling down, and maybe we're lucky and he pops out and we can follow him a little bit. That would be great. So that's going to be my plan, but I'm going to shoot past Buffelshoek Dam, see if there's anything there, and then I'm probably going to head down to Chitwa Dam. Just get maybe sunset over there and then head back into this area and see if we can find Tingana. So that's going to be my plan for the afternoon. Now, you wanted to know if the water holes dry up in the winter. So, Ellie, they do. Some of them do. Most of them do, in fact. This one was nearly dry, or was basically dry this winter. It was very, very hot, very dry, and we had that bad drought. So Buffelshoek Dam dried up quite a bit, but now there's lots of water in it, and there are some hippopotamus. Our resident hippo. Now there are usually 3. I wonder if the other one isn't around here somewhere. We'll see. Maybe it will stick its head up soon. Very peaceful around the dams, and I always think on days like this, surely there's got to be a predator, lions or leopards lying close to this to the dam, just basically waiting for it to cool down a little bit. It's nice and cool around the water holes, but it's not always the case. I remember I used to constantly check especially in winter on warm days when it is dry, you can check the prominent water holes or little mud wallows or small little dams, and there's a chance that you could see. And there we go. There's a beautiful Hammerkop. That's nice. Hammerkop, which means hammerhead. It gets a name from that shape of the head and the feathers, the beak and the feathers. Now, this is actually a great fisherman. But they also catch frogs and little fish on the edge of the water. A fascinating thing about the Hammerkop is the nest that it builds. Now, it will build a nest that can weigh up to 50 or 60 kilograms. And they build them up in trees, in the not quite the branches, but in almost the trunk of the tree, where there's a stable place for this nest to rest. And those big nests they will use annually, so they keep going back and using the same nest. But it is amazing to see them build these big nests and go back. And then when they move out, other creatures will use those nests too. Creatures like owls, perhaps. You might have owls using it, but also snakes. You get a few different snakes that will go and use it. Provides a home for a lot of different animals. Now, Bonnie, these dams contain a few different species of fish, but it's mainly tilapia and catfish. We call them barbel, but the catfish and a few different species of tilapia. And that's it. Not too much else in these dams. They just occur naturally in these areas. So the catfish and tilapia. That's what you would find here. Now in the Sand River, which runs through the Sabi Sands, so south of where we are, we're not bordering on it. But I have seen some small tiger fish in there too, believe it or not. But it's not a prominent area for tiger fish. It's mainly catfish and tilapia. Very peaceful around here at the moment. There's hippo blowing. It's always nice to see hippo around. There are three. The other one just stuck its head up off to the left. But those two, that's a nice view of those two. There you can see the other one. There we go, Seb. Yep, that's the third one. So there are three. Jill, so the hippo don't actually breathe underwater. I'm just watching, what is this one doing? So I'm just having a look. This one looked like it was doing some strange behavior behind me. Now, Jill, you asked how long do they breathe underwater. The hippo can't breathe underwater. They can hold their breath underwater, though. They are mammals. Now, the hippo will stay under. They can stay under for between. Most books I've read, and there's some. I've read some different stories, but it's about 7 or 8 minutes that they can stay under. However, on average, it's about 2 to 3 minutes that they prefer to stay under. I'm just seeing this one was tilting its head a little bit in the water. I don't know why. Not sure if it's balancing on a sandbank or what, but you see how it's got its nose dipped down like that. That's strange behavior. I haven't seen that much. Or is it on top of the other hippo? I don't know.
Because there's 4 here.
Oh, I know exactly what's happening. I apologize. They are mating. Yeah, they are mating, everyone. I didn't see that other hippo. So that one at the back is in the wrong place. The one in the middle, the big one, is a big male. That's a big male. So there are 4 hippo here. Well spotted, Seb. So that one in the middle, the big one, is currently mounting another hippo who is underneath it. There are the nostrils. Do you see the nostrils sticking out just in front of it? And down they go again. Did you see that? We'll keep watching. And that's how hippo mate. The male will mount the female, and the female lies under the water, and then every now and then she'll raise her nostrils just to get a breath of air. So just have a look. We'll keep watching. You might see her nostrils pop up again soon. So that's exactly how, that's how I thought. That's very strange. See, he's mounting her now. And hippo do mate under the water like this. And like I said, that third hippo is just resting on the male. I don't know what he's doing there, actually. There, do you see there the nostrils? Do you see the?
Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting. This is amazing. Wow, look at that. Jeez, this is really great. Ian, you asked how big are these hippo. Now, these big male hippo can get up to about 2 tons. That's how big a male hippo can get. The females, much less, about, I think it's 1.4 tons, 1,400 kilograms or so. Yeah, so females actually, they reckon up to 1,700, but I would say an average of about 1,000 to 1,500 kilograms, so 1.5 tons, and a big bull can get up to 2 tons, so that's very big, Ian. And just to give you an idea, their shoulder height is about 1.5 meters, so a big hippo, 1.5 meters tall. That's 1.5 meters. Is that as tall as James? James will show you how tall 1.5 meters is in the tent. We'll wait for him to. Maybe he's got a tape measure or something, or he can show you up against a tree. But this is really great. I haven't seen mating hippo for quite some time, so this is something quite rare. It's not something we see often. So there are actually 4 hippo in the dam at the moment, but that male was definitely mating with that female. And interesting to see how they mate. Some of you might not have seen it before either. So the male mounts the female in the water, she stays under the water, and every now and then her nostrils pop up just to catch a breath. And then the male will mount her from behind and will stay on top of her for a while until he then moves on. That was great. Anyway, so let's see if James, again, he's up in the tree. I hope he doesn't fall. Let's see. Let him show you how tall 1.5 meters is.
Because of inevitable insults that I've been forced to take since meeting him some 10 years ago now, I've climbed this tree in order to show him that I am in fact very tall indeed. Now, I have not climbed this tree simply because I like climbing trees, although that is obviously one of the many reasons that I climb trees, but we're trying to work out a good opening shot for the TV shows, and I think this might be quite fun. It might be quite fun, but how relevant to the show it will be, I'm not yet very sure. So the idea would be that I give my spiel about where we are in the world, revealing, of course, as Connor is doing now, the Great Kruger National Park, and then the tent in which I will be talking to him from. Now, the idea initially was to come back sort of towards, and I think is going to work, because if I was to try down this tree on a television show, I would almost fall over and die. There you are. I'm not sure who you are. We looking at me in the drone or through the drone? Okay, now we're going back to the drone shot. So I'm going to try and exit this tree without killing myself, as I always try and do. One should always try and exit a tree like that, I feel. What about this branch here? This might be quite nice. A little bit like I remember Kermit the Frog in that, I think he was on a lily pad, no, he was on a log playing his banjo. I think my face might be hidden at the moment. There we go. So I think this is quite a nice spot. Anyway, we're going to work on these things during the next little while, and we've got an extra long cable now so we can come out of the tent, which I think is going to give us quite a lot more scope for bits and pieces to do in and around the tent. So that's quite fun. That was the point of this little exercise. We're now going to try it in the next tree along. It was quite scary up there, I must tell you. I'm quite scared now. Oh, I can't see what I'm doing. Hang on a second. Yes, Kirsten does like to sort of let me hang while I'm trying to get out of trees. I always hint wildly that she should link away, and no link comes. All that happens is that I can feel the collective giggle of the final control as I hang helplessly in the air. I'm not sure how I'm going to get out from where I am now, but I feel in quite a slightly precarious position. I think I'll get back onto the tree. Anyway. Right, here we go. She's still not linking away. She's still finding this thoroughly amusing. Alright, while I try and get out of here, let's go across to Taylor and find out what the second silliest Earth is doing.
Be very careful, James, on your way down. It would be absolutely terrible if you hurt yourself. Right, so what we're going to be doing now is we've just popped around at Cheetah Plains Pan, and unfortunately we're not having too much luck with the animals today. I don't know where they all are. There must be a meeting, a gathering of some sort somewhere else except where we are looking. The only thing we've managed to find are 3 Egyptian geese, and that really seems to be it. Oh, and I talk nonsense. There's also some lapwings, so they're around too, but those are of course Egyptian geese. We see many of them. Now there is a third one, which is strange. As you know, Egyptian geese are exceptionally territorial and are reluctant to allow strangers into their territory. So I wonder if it isn't an offspring, if there's an older offspring that hasn't quite moved on, because when we came past here the first time I did spot them as well. And the 3 of them were together, because now they're a little bit separated, as you can see. And they're chatting. They're making a very soft sort of contact call, I suppose. So that's not a very aggressive sound. You will know what the Egyptian geese sort of territorial call sounds like. They flap their wings, they make themselves heard, and that's not the case here. So I think it is. There must be a youngster, juvenile, somewhere around there. But other than that, Very, very, very quiet. But we're going to keep bobbing and weaving through some of these roads. Let's actually do that now and see if we can find anything. Maybe an elephant. Maybe the elephants are still on their way down. What do you think, Craig? I think let's go that way and go down one of those roads. We're going to try and drive roads now that we haven't driven just yet. Let's do that. Lionheart, now you are speaking my language today. You're wondering where have all the ostrich gone. This has been a hot topic between Craig and I on this very hot afternoon. As I say, that a cloud has now covered the sun, thankfully, because I'm worried I was going to get sunburnt. So I don't know where they've gone. There aren't very many left in the Sabi Sand, I'm afraid. I used to see one female who my tracker named, what did he name her again? Susan? I don't know. I think he named her after a guest of ours. And we used to see Susan. I think it's also the same ostrich that they see at Londolozi. And she was beautiful. We'd see her for a couple of months at a time. Other than that, I never saw a male ostrich. Well, I've never seen a male ostrich while I've been in the sand. But this would be a perfect area. They love the big open plains. And something like an ostrich does not want to conceal itself. It needs to be out in the open where the cheetah can get it. No. So I don't know where they've gone. They move around. They're not the most intelligent bird. And with big predators, lions, leopard, cheetah, hyena even, it's a little bit dangerous for them. I don't think that the chicks will survive. So it's just the adults that sort of make it around. Maybe we see a return of them. I don't even think that I've seen ostrich in Kruger before, to be honest, now that I'm just trying to think back. But that's what I would have loved to have seen this afternoon. And we even thought we'd spotted an ostrich sitting in the grass, but sadly it was not. It was just a little stump sticking out of the long grass, but it was perfect. It was sort of broken off, I presume, by the elephants, and it made it look like it had a head and a beak and everything. We slammed on brakes. Craig quickly zoomed in, and it was just a stick. We were both heartbroken, but it would have been really, really nice. I love ostrich. And then also the secretary birds. I kept my fingers crossed going, come on, secretary birds, come on, secretary birds. Another set of birds that we don't see very often out here that I'd love to see. Though I've only ever seen them in the Sabi Sand before once on Cheetah Plains. Never saw them down south. So they're also another one that we see just every now and then, not too often though. But that's it. One day you'll just come onto those plains and they'll all be there. They'll all be there waiting. But I don't know where they go otherwise. But there's lots of other areas for them to move around on. These trees here are perfect for leopards. I don't know where the leopards are. Actually, here's a really big silver cluster leaf forest, if you will. Well, as foresty as a forest could be out in the Sabi Sands. I suppose we've got one here. But have a look at some of these monster silver cluster leaves. Now, I'm not used to seeing such big ones. They really are absolutely stunning. Lots of small ones too that are dwarfed in size, or I suppose still growing. But normally you don't get to see them this big. And another thing that I was excited to see, it's a bit difficult to find the pods now because of all the grass that's around. But last year I didn't see any pods on a silver cluster leaf. And they look very, very much like the bush willow pods. So they sort of winged. We'll keep our eyes around that. Actually, next time I do bushwalk, we will have a look, because I have seen some on quarantine. Because the vegetation is quite sparse, you are able to find a few little pods if you look carefully. Somebody has been slithering across the road. Can you see just in front? I have driven over a whole lot of it, but just over there, when my finger went across the screen a bit high, there we go. You can see that there is a track in the sand. That is from a snake. I don't know who's done that because it's quite a big one. You can see it very, very faintly. It's actually a little bit too wide to be from a puff adder. So I'm wondering if it perhaps is not from a python, maybe an African rock python. I've yet to see one while I've been at Safari Live, but that doesn't mean that they're not here. Remember, snakes are masters at camouflage. They do not want to be spotted because they make for an easy meal for many different things, for hungry young leopards or even a hungry adult leopard, for birds of prey, so many different things. So when they do come out into open areas like this, they normally do so very quickly. But this is the season for snakes, funny enough. So that could be another thing to have a look for this evening. And I have had lots and lots of luck on Cheetah Plains with finding snakes as the sun's sort of gone down. They come out and warm themselves on the road. But I'm still waiting for that rock python. Let me see what snakes I've seen so far. We've seen quite a few puff adder. I've seen a spotted bush snake once while on bushwalk. Remember that, Craig? That was the first snake you saw while you were here. And Craig was very happy. Craig loves snakes and reptiles. It's his favorite thing. What else have we seen? And I think that's it. I haven't even seen a mamba since I've been here, or a spitting cobra. It seems to just be those two. Craig, what is your favorite snake? Craig doesn't know what his favorite snake is. He just loves them all so much. And now, Gil, you're wondering what is the biggest snake I've ever seen? I think it's going to have to be, if I don't just talk about in this area, I think it's going to be a rock python in Zambia. It was a massive one. It was actually at the company I work for. They had a house on the Zambezi River. Azon was at their private house. We just went out for a drive one afternoon, and it was a massive rock python. I couldn't even begin to tell you how long it was, but it was way bigger than about 4 meters in length. It was the biggest one I've ever seen. What else have I seen? There's massive mambas. Seen some really, really big mambas. And I've also seen big rinkals, big Cape cobras. You name it, everything. There are some really, really massive snakes here, but just in terms of size, I'd have to say the rock python is quite impressive, just because not only do they get very long, but also they're very robust and quite thick. And if you've ever seen the size of a python's head, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I haven't seen particularly big ones here. The one night, I think my record was 3 different rock pythons on one safari down in the southern section of the Sabi Sands. It was quite amazing, 3 different pythons. And well, since then I haven't actually seen any more, which is a little bit sad, but who knows, tonight could be the night. Craig, I think we need to go down this road. This looks like an exciting road, and if I remember correctly, because it's actually quite nice and sort of moist in here, so we might get a few depressions where the sort of water has just settled and not quite formed mud wallows, but sort of just like a little flay wetland area. We might get some nice birds in there, maybe some lotus flowers or something like that growing in there. So we'll give it a bash. And you know what I have noticed? I might also tell you. Do you remember the other morning when we came down to Cheetah Plains and we were looking at leopard tracks? I'd found a hippopotamus track near 3 in a row pan and I'd circled it. And there were some big male lion tracks too. No one has even driven over those tracks, which I found amazing. So they were still there intact. It doesn't look like they're even a bit of dust has blown over them, which I was so surprised in. And this road does not have one vehicle track going down it, so I don't know when it was last driven. It's not very common. And if you look just in the road, you'll see there's some very, very old tracks, probably from weeks and weeks ago on the right-hand side, but you can't really see the tire tread. Look at that. Absolutely, almost nothing has been here. So that's good for us, because that means we will be able to see if anything has walked around here. Some parts of this road are a little bit on the hard side, but that's okay. On the right-hand side, it seems to be a nice sandy sort of spot. And it's perfect. It's convenient because I can lean out on the side. Let's actually stop and have a look here. Let me just position so that you can see what I'm about to show you. I think that should be okay. Not too many tracks. A feather. A guinea fowl feather. That's pretty cool. That's nice. I always like to have a feather in my hat. That goes for the collection. I shall be taking that back to camp. So if you have a look over here, there's some very small little tracks. There's actually which is a nice clear one. Let me find a better one. Craig, can you see this one over here? It's a little bit tricky to see, but it's quite a square track. So this is from a warthog. This doesn't look like a particularly big warthog. I wonder if it's not a youngster. Now, you'll see there's actually a whole lot of them. Some are bigger than others, some are smaller, some are deeper into the sand. So I suppose it just depends at what pace you were going when you were a warthog, if you're a little piglet or you're an adult. But this sort of looks like a medium-sized one. But there's loads and loads and loads of them going up and down over here. We got a feather. Oh, we had a dung beetle. This is very sad. We might have to bury this dung beetle. Look at this. It is no longer living. It is hard, it is crispy, not very delicious, but pretty cool nonetheless. Craig, do you want it? No? Should we bury it? I think I'm going to maybe leave this feather. And we'll just... Goodbye, dung beetle. May you have a nice time in the ground. We'll leave the feather. We'll put the feather there. Should we do a little rest in peace? Beetle. Bye, Beetle. And there we go, where the dung beetle will remain forever. Now, anybody that drives past there is probably going to think, what on earth is going on? Well, if anybody knows that I've been driving around here, they'll probably just say, oh, it's Taylor. She's been here. So we are going to keep moving along this very windy, dense road and hopefully find some animals. James seems to think he is an ape today because he is in another tree.
I am in another tree, and this is the second tree that we're going to try, and I quite like the way that this angle is going. So I do my blah blah blah, here you are, welcome to Safari Live, etc, etc. You're live from the vast expanse of the Great Kruger National Park, to reveal the tent, and we'd cut back to me talking then into the camera. Very nice. So that's how it would go. I think we might try and make that workable. You may send through your comments, hashtag Safari Live, of course, if you think this is an absolute load of tripe and that you think it would look dreadful on an international television broadcast. Well, then you must tell us that. Hashtag Safari Live, of course. We rely heavily, and I really mean this from the bottom of my being, we rely heavily on you, our internet audience, for the feedback that you give us for how we craft our television shows. So thank you for bearing with us. Those are the only 2 tree climbing incidents that you will witness today, unless one of the other presenters tries to do the same sort of thing, of course. I'm now kind of stuck, and I will tell you that I had to get a chair to get up here because I'm not a very large fellow, as you know, and getting down from here is going to be even more awkward than getting down from the other tree. But what is interesting, let's do a little bit of sort of biology here, is that this tree has got much less foliage than the one that we were in before, and I think that this is a male. There's a lot of vegetation underneath it, which means that the elephants have not been collecting marula pips around here. The other tree is completely opposite from that. And interestingly, on the other tree, I was starting to think that the male trees are subjected to far more damage than the females, that the elephants actually know the difference between the males and the females, not necessarily because they can tell from the leaf structure or something like that, but because they know which trees which trees they collect marulas under in the summertime. And I think it's quite interesting that that one, which is a female, has got so much more foliage than this one, which is, I think, a male. So that is all I have to say about this. Now, BYRON, of course, is going to have a lot to say about the fact that I'm in a tree. I suspect it will have quite a lot to do with how I'm going to fall out of the tree, something about my stature. He'll try and toss in something about my baldness and age as well.
James, I would never say that, even though you had a dig at me this morning. James, in all fairness, it was my joke from yesterday, but he made me say it live. It's not fair, James. He called me the McDonald's of the bush. I hope he's careful. We don't want James falling out a tree again. He does that from time to time. No, we haven't seen too much. Those hippos stopped mating very soon after you left me, and they didn't mate again, but it was so interesting to see the mating hippo. I'm glad our dear friend Connor is back to give us some drone footage. I mean, that is always great and really amazing. Drone Commander Connor, as James likes to refer to it. Now I'm going to head down towards Chitwa Dam, see if we can find more hippo. Maybe we're lucky and we've got a crocodile or 2 out the water. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe a fish eagle. Any other predictions? Red-billed buffalo weavers. Let's go with all the easy ones. Gymnogene, you think so? Often we see that a Gymnogene down there, so yeah. The African Harrier Hawk. I was hoping to find some elephant this afternoon, but no sign of them. I know Connor had one from the drone, apparently. They did see one, but I'm not sure where it was. Otherwise I would have gone into that area. Did you see some? No, I think it was antelope walking. I don't think it was, yeah. Okay, so those that elephant was about 1 kilometer north of Twin Dams. Alright, so that's in that direction, more or less. May head into that area a bit later. It's a bit far from here now. Lady Starfire, the animals, you asked what animals do we see more of in winter. Well, the animals are always here. I wouldn't say we see more of one animal than the other. I'm trying to think. No, Lady Starfire, I don't know. I don't think it changes that much from winter to summer. I mean, obviously, the general game is still in abundance. So all the Impala, Wildebeest, zebra, giraffe, the kudu, Nyala, all those antelope species are still around. Elephant, as we've seen in the last few weeks, elephant come and go. They'll move through areas, then disappear again. Last year winter we had a lot of elephant around, so we might be seeing more elephant, or also possibly more buffalo. We had a lot of buffalo last year winter, and we haven't seen too many of them now in the summer months. So that could change. Probably buffalo, maybe. I would say, just judging on last winter to now, and going through the summer, we might see more buffalo, but Lady Starfire, it's difficult. Yeah, the animals are always around. They just come and go as they please, and I don't think the temperature variation on the summer and winter months changes their movement that much. It does to an extent, but they're always around and we do always see them. It's probably just that the bush is a bit thicker, perhaps, so harder to spot them. Alright, I'm going to head down to Chitwa Dam. I'm not too far. I'm going to be there shortly. Let's head to Taylor, who's still on Cheetah Plains.
I am still on Cheetah Plains. Byron, it sounds like you're going to have a day filled with hippopotamus, which is really nice. We are still bumbling about, and we're also going to go and visit a dam. Can you believe it? We're going to go to the Djuma Dam. We just need to figure out how to get there. Hey, Craig. I think we're going to have to turn left just now. I always do this. I jump onto roads that look like they haven't been driven for years. We go around them and not really sure where we're going to pop out. But yes, no, I think we're on Central now, so I know exactly where we're going. So that's what we're going to do. There could be some hippopotamus there. Hopefully that grey heron that we've seen every now and then will be there and maybe do a bit of fishing for us. Ooh, wonder who else. I don't think the weavers are nesting around there. Ooh, hang on. Wait. Why did I not see those tracks? Let me just quickly position the first gear. Big male lion tracks through here. They look like they're from this morning. No, maybe in between drive. Just over here, there's two really nice tracks. One here, and then another one over here. I'm just going to quickly see where they're going. So the rest of them then aren't very nice. But they are definitely over a set of tire tracks, as you can see. So maybe from this morning, maybe in between game drives. I didn't see them. These are my tracks over here. I didn't see them at all on the way through. And I think it's because, like I said, it's a little bit difficult when you are driving. If you're not driving on the side of the road where the tracks are, I could have easily missed them. They're not too great. They're not particularly nicely pushed through in the sand. And that's a problem when you've got a very, very sandy substrate like this, and you can see it. Let me smooth an area out, and I'm going to show you what my handprint looks like in the sand. Actually, we need to make it, watch. So it's not great. You can see there's my handprint over there. It's sort of there, but if you have cars constantly going past, that's sort of what would happen. It doesn't take much before the track of my hand actually starts to disappear. Do you see that? So it can be quite tricky. So that's why I don't think that they're too old. And it's not like they walked over here when the ground was wet, because if the sand had dew on it, they would almost be crusty. And that's a test that you do. You touch. You see that? How easy it is? Sort of it's not hard at all. So I think that this was a male lion moving through here not too long ago. Very sneaky. I know that the Styx Pride and one Birmingham boy were found on Hoffman's this morning. But other than that, I don't think there were too many more lions. There were a couple of Birminghams, I think, in Torchwood and in Buffels Hook. Oh my goodness, looks like there were lots going on here. I wonder if we might get lucky if something's at Djuma Dam. Because from here there's 2 sets of watering holes. There's the one, 3 sets. The one near Cheetah Plains Lodge, in front of the lodge, and then we've got this little pan near the helicopter pad. And then Djuma Dam is not, as the crow flies, it's not particularly far. And it won't take us too long to get there now. We're going to turn down one of the roads that will eventually lead us in that direction. Now, Ruti, you're wondering if Cheetah Plains is named after cheetahs roaming the plains. Quite possibly. There are very few areas out here that have these massive open plains, like Cheetah Plains does. So, and well, with the 2 cheetah brothers that roam around here on a regular basis. I know they've been absent for some time now, but yes, you're quite right. That's probably where the name actually comes from. I'm just checking because there's lots of old tracks here, but I want to see if those male lion tracks perhaps come through here. Remember, before I actually saw the Styx with their new cubs, I used to see them on a regular basis around Djuma Dam, where one of the girls gave birth to her cubs. So they do like it around here. So we're going to go very slowly through here. You never know. I also don't know how much of if it was the they're also like the Nkumas, split up and do their own thing. Let's go this way. Let's try it over here and let's see if we get lucky. Definitely lots of hippo tracks moving through here, so we must be on the right path to the dam, which is quite good. So I think we're going to follow these old hippo tracks and hopefully they'll lead us towards the Djuma Dam. James has managed to get himself unstuck and he's back in the tent.
We made it. It wasn't easy. I got an injury. See? Should we look at it under the microscope? I think we should. Now, while I do that, of course, this might be quite interesting. It might just be disgusting. I'm not sure. Of course, I'm not sure if anyone has told you this, but maybe they have told you. But we have, of course, been testing now the feed from the Mara. Ooh, I'm not sure that we want. Do we want to show that? Do you want to see this, everybody? If you don't, we're going to show it for exactly 3 seconds, so shut your eyes now. That is my injury. That's it. Good. I hope you won't be too scarred by that. Good. Okay. Ronald has found no further... Whoop, he's got a butterfly. It's gone. No, it's there. Quickly, let's go and look at Ronald. There, he's got a little butterfly friend. That has now flown away. Anyway, he's disappeared. So, as I was there, you can just see it flying there. So, thank you very much for bearing with us during the course of that little testing period. We will, of course, have to be testing... Perks is shouting at me now because of my hat shadow. We're going to head outside and see what we can find there. And while we do that, BYRON has got some very, very thirsty animals.
Oh, look at this, everyone. We've just got to Chitwa Dam and we have been greeted by a big herd of elephant. This is probably the largest herd I've actually seen on Djuma before.